I'm here because I've seen firsthand how a union can ensure that we are all treated fairly in the workplace, and in particular how unions can help women and people of color. Women right here at Harvard face the kind of systemic discrimination that we should be fighting as a collective.
I support the union because I believe we deserve a say in our workplace conditions, whether that be healthcare, wages, safety, etc. And I also believe that there are issues that we deal with as individuals that would be better dealt with as a collective.
The labor union is not the right tool to address many of these problems. In fact, we believe that the student unionization would do more harm than good to our community. Because if the university is forced to provide drastically increased benefits to current students, they could simply ask the future students to start paying tuition and fees as the university did in the past. Increased wages and benefits for graduate students may come at the expense of increased tuition for other students. It is undeniably clear from the result of the election that more than half of the graduate student population do not want this union.
If you look at University of Connecticut, they got a lot of gains in a lot of areas, but they had a really big increase in stipends. At NYU, they didn't have as big an increase in stipends, but they had big increases in terms of benefits, like dental and other insurance. And so what we've seen with other universities is when students want to have a say in where that money is allocated, they choose different things based on their needs at those universities.
And I met with a lot of administrators, and they're all very nice, I agree, but they can also sit down and listen to you and say, that's great, thank you very much, I'll get back to you in a month, and then not get back to you. So, I think what we have is the ability to have a negotiation with them on an equal playing field. We're not imposing any terms on them, we're just getting a seat at the table.
But I think what we're concerned about is the cost of having that security or cost of having the contract negotiated, which we estimate to be about $10 million or over $10 million over the course of a 5-year contract. That money paid to the union.
We're just not convinced that it will be worth the price tag and the hassle.
As a cost of what the university does, we're talking about 0.5% of the university's entire budget for students to have that seat at the table. And in my mind, that is worth the price.
A strike is a last step, the last resort in a negotiation process. As a starting point, the vast majority of contracts are resolved without a strike. There's lots of things that you can do along the way for issues that are really important. You can petition, you can rally, you can write op-eds. Rarely does it get to the point where workers feel like they need to strike in order to get a relief. Occasionally that does happen, and it can be a really powerful tool to achieve that when it's necessary. Part of the reason why it's effective is that once you get to that point, you have to have gotten buy-in from the vast majority of people in the union. So in order to go on strike, people need to vote with a 2/3 majority.
Let's say hypothetically the union cannot strike, and as far as I understand it, the UC system, for example, that's the case. Would the union have any power in that case? Because it seems to me that it's almost like, like the nuclear option, right? I guess it kind of, it's a bad analogy, maybe, but because the U.S. has all these nukes, that's why the world listens to the U.S. So it's like if you don't have the ability to strike, you don't have that, then it seems to me that the union will just have much less power to negotiate the table as you claim that it will. And just as someone from the sciences, I can just thinking for myself and just speaking with my fellow students, it just seems that people are just not willing to go on strike.
Why the UAW? And I just want to really briefly press that. The UAW represents 60,000 academic workers, including many graduate workers at peer institutions like NYU and Columbia, and places where, they're big research universities, diverse, they have great med schools, etc. Like, they are equipped and they have the experience to represent a place like this, right?
With regards to the UAW, you can de-affiliate from unions, international unions, and it's the exact same process as affiliating with them. You would have to get 30% of people, I think, to sign cards to say they don't want to be affiliated with the UAW, and then that would mean the entire union would vote yes or no, whether they wanted to stay affiliated with the UAW or not. So it would just be a vote and a no.
So, as far as I understand, is that the decertification process, so-called? In my understanding, according to federal law, the only way this can happen is, there's like certain time restrictions, but the main thing is that it cannot be in any way supported by the university. So, the people who want to essentially run this, campaign to decertify the union, they would have to, on their own, somehow obtain people's, contact information or what have you in order to like reach out to them. Also, this cannot occur on employer premises during work hours. So basically what this means is that, if we were to say someone, if the UAW is doing a bad job, we wanted to certify, we can't get people's phone numbers, we can't get their names, we can't go to their labs to find them, we can't do it during work hours. So how is it possible that, especially given that, Harvard is not like, a factory that's like in one place, and maybe you can stay outside the entrance, have people sign something. How Harvard is so distributed in like so many departments across the city, how is it possible logistically for someone to actually implement this decertification process? And it seems to me that the answer is that it's just not possible.
The union really helps us create a community amidst a pretty isolating academic experience. Most of the time you're doing work on your own, and you end up dealing with all of these issues like healthcare and benefits on your own. But it would be having a community through a union. You can realize that TFs in the divinity school have similar issues to TFs in the earth science department, and that can really be very powerful. And so for all of these reasons we've just mentioned, we will be voting yes for our union in April, and we hope that you all will join us.
And there's no precedent for a graduate student union at a private university that includes research assistants in its bargaining unit. There's also no precedent for a graduate student union at an institution of Harvard's caliber. We just don't believe that there's enough evidence that this particular union will pay for itself and make our lives better on the whole. This concern is exacerbated by the stickiness of the union, by the fact that once a union is in place, for all practical purposes, we cannot get rid of it. We'll be stuck with it, and all future graduate students will be stuck with it, no matter if they like it or not.